Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel review, anything and everything. And today we're getting into these two Lego verse or comparison set. This is on my left, set 76307. This is Iron Man, Mech vs. Ultron. And it's a 6+ set with 101 pieces. And then you have on my right, set 76277. This is the War Machine Mech armor. Now, I don't know if these things, they're both out available right now. Link's gonna be in the description down below for you to purchase them on Amazon. They go roughly for the same price when they're at full price, which I believe is $15. On sale price, they go for about $12. The Iron Man has gone down to $10. So a little bit better of a deal, but not by that much. And I think they're both worth picking up if you don't mind getting both of them. I think they complement each other really well. I'm gonna dive into how they complement each other even more so closer to the end. But as far as them being compared and you have to choose one, we're just gonna do this kind of a little lighthearted comparison to see if, you know, what are the pros and cons versus one over the other. And they both have things about them that are better than the other. So it's not just a landslide of one being better than the other. It actually goes both ways. And we're gonna check that out. So diving into it, first we're gonna take a look at the minifigures. Now the minifigures are the part where I think it's definitely like, well, comparing the Iron Man and the Rhodey, they are both relatively equal and even. But what I will say is, and I'm gonna take Rhodey's hairpiece off right now first, just so I can have them both inside their helmets. But he comes with a hairpiece. Now, obviously, when it comes to comparing for the minifigures of who like wins out, the Iron Man set's gonna win out because it's coming with two minifigures. But first, we're just gonna compare Iron Man and Rhodey really quick. Now, just looking at them side to side as is, they both have that quality to them. Iron Man has a little bit of, looks like a chromey flake on his thing, and War Machine does also, but on the helmet piece, not on the mask of the helmet, and Iron Man has it on the mask of the helmet. So that's interesting. Other than that, those are the only real parts that I'm seeing that at. The detail is, well, Iron Man's, the gold part on his legs too also looks so shiny, and on his stomach area, the abs area, where War Machine doesn't really have that like that, but there's still great detail. Iron Man has blue highlights, while War Machine has red. They both got toe printing also, which I'd never noticed before or paid attention to. They got their back printing. The helmets are roughly the same. Now, both of them have their face underneath. But the one benefit to Iron Man is he gets a second face on the back, showing the like inside details of the computer schematics and whatnot. But what that also tells you is he's not meant to take off his helmet, which you might have to buy an additional hairpiece on the side if you want to complement the character. While Rhodey, on the other hand, he doesn't have an additional face on the back, but as I just showed you, he has a hairpiece that comes with him. So in that regards, this cancels out, or and some people might say is better than having the additional second face printing, the fact that he has the hairpiece. So, you know, take it as you will as far as what you like better. Me personally, though, that whole inside face thing looks nice with the whole computer thing that he has on the back there. I'll turn it around. It looks nice because, and this is something they would have never done if it wasn't for the fact of the movie. That would have never been the case if not for the movie, but the movie showing him like in there for our purposes of like making it look like we're in the suit with him, and they would show that is the reason why they even put this on a figure. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the movies, they would have never done that. And I say that to say that, so it is a benefit, but it comes from that, where otherwise they probably would have, for Iron Man, if you didn't have the second face, they probably would have given him a hairpiece. But obviously you can't really do, it's not that you can't do both, because you could do both. But at the same time, you're less likely to do both if you know that he's meant to keep the headpiece on because he's got the two and the back of his head's got to be completely covered. You can do this here. Let me see, make sure it lines up correctly. Yeah, you could do this here, but even then it's not perfect. You see a little bit of the computer stuff. So this head is really meant to, you know, this head is really meant to not have a hairpiece on it. Make sure that's aligned correctly to see, does it cover? Yeah, you're still gonna see a bit in the back. It's not meant to, cover, I meant to say his head piece, his face is not meant to have a hair piece based on that, because it's not gonna cover the back. Sorry, I had a little brain fart there. So that is the two main figures of it, but then you also have Ultron. Now, Ultron, you put these little thrusters on him. Let's zoom in. And he's got all the same printing as well, from the front down to the toes. He's got his back printing. He's got this neck piece here. I'm gonna take that off really quickly. I'm not gonna put his head all the way on just so we can, because I'm gonna put that other piece back on, but you can see the design. That's the back of his head, almost looks like a face. He's got the front of his face. Very nice character, and I think that, at least from my understanding, Ultron's a pretty rare character, so that automatically elevates the Iron Man set in the rarity of getting Ultron. Like, if you need Ultron, you're gonna get this set because you need Ultron. If you don't need Ultron, you might end up saying, well, I prefer the War Machine set. Now, one thing that he comes with is, he comes with this as the blaster piece, which is cool. The time that they kind of utilized this before was for Cyclops, except he had a different piece to kind of put it over his face rather than just holding in the middle of his hand, and it made it look like he's blasting from his eyes, which is cool. So they're using these things, which normally go in the projectile shooters, the spring shooters, and they're using them as projectiles like blast beams, which is actually just a really smart idea, and it's really cool. So that's really cool right there, and it's awesome. It's very long range. You obviously needs a base to stand him on to actually make that work. But if he was, you know, propped on any kind of Lego base, this is actually going to work fine. So that part is cool. What I also like, though, separate of that, is, I'm just going to take that off for a second. So the blue studs that come with this is not going to match with Ultron as well, but it would match with Iron Man if you did this with the Iron Man. They come with an extra one of these inside the in the Iron Man set, extra one of these hand blaster holding pieces, or whatever you want to call them. So if you had another blue stud on there, it would look like, you know, it's projecting. Now, Ultron obviously is using red energy, but you could put both of these, taking away obviously Ultron's blaster, because they only have two of these, one extra and one main one, put it in Iron Man's hand, and all of a sudden now Iron Man has these, and they could be used as like thrusters, you know, where he's holding them downwards like he's flying, you know, or whatever the case is. Now, you could do that with his studs anyway. We put them underneath, because sometimes you just put the stud on and put them on the hand anyway, facing either forward or backwards. But here you could make it face forward like he's projecting and he's shooting, or he's about to shoot. Like, you know how when his palm glows up and it's about to shoot. So Iron Man will be able to do this. I don't want to switch the figure over for it, but Iron Man would be able to do that with these. Obviously, then you wouldn't have one of these pieces for Ultron's blast, but you get the idea. So that's actually pretty cool that it comes with that. So I'm going to move him and both of them aside. And I'm going to move Rhodey to the side as well. And now we're going to get into the mechs. Now, because of that, granted, in that aspect of the minifigures, obviously the Iron Man set wins out because you're getting two minifigures. But then when we come into the realm of the actual mechs, this is where War Machine's mech is better. So the Iron Man mech is not bad. It really isn't bad. It's just a little more simple. And Iron Man's always been that way. He's always been a little bit more simplified than War Machine. In terms of War Machine always had that beefy look with, it looked like, you know, heavier armor, less sleek, all these extra guns on it and whatnot. So here you have these twin blasters here, which is nice, a nice touch. Here you have the little reactor piece for the palm propulsor. I assume that's when they're glowing like that, when they're transparent, like they're translucent, that's what they are for. You have the reactor piece there in the chest, which obviously War Machine's one has too. A little beefed up on the shoulders, not bad, but it's more smooth design. You can see here he's got these pieces here where War Machine has them on the lower part, but nonetheless, you have that here. And the truth is, after building up the War Machine's one, I'm sure if someone wanted to, they can play around with how all these pieces are worn on him. Like maybe put this up here and this down here on the side, whatever the case is, and you could kind of play around with things. But nonetheless, you could see it, and it's a very simple build for the most part. It gets the job done. You know, it could be considered one of his just higher level armors in his inventory because, you know, he has so many different ones like the Hulkbuster, this and that. Or if you want to use this in place of a Hulkbuster, I think that works. Now, the War Machine one, you have, and don't mind, I threw some of the extra pieces on here that came with the set. So I didn't add anything that's not from this set. But as far as extras go, that piece was an extra piece that didn't go there. But they have these mounting points here next to the guns that it works. You have that one there. This one's actually being used by that coil wire, but it's fine. But the point I'm making is that they put it next to this one. They built all three of the guns the same way. So essentially you have these extra ports that you could kind of use for things. This one, I put one of the extra studs on just as a way to be, I don't know, maybe it's a red dot sight, one of those kind of things, or some kind of aimer. This thing right here could be considered a flamethrower if you want. I put that there as an extra piece. And another extra piece I put was right there, just to smooth that out. But so if you see that on this video, I don't want you to think like, oh, did he put extra pieces that didn't come with the set? Those came with the set. Those are the extras. So anyway, you can see here, the legs look a little more beefier. You've got a little bit more going on. And after I finish running through this, I'll compare them side by side. Iron Man had more, his fingers are a little more sharper. These ones a little more bulky for the fingers. He's got his own blaster, palm blaster as well in the inside and on this arm too. Obviously, he's got the 3 blasters up, this one here, here, and then on the shoulder. He's also got these, which naturally came with it, that are blasters as well. So that's cool. This extra piece here, extra kind of armament here, because this side has the gun. And then he's got the wire going through, which kind of makes you think of it in a way similar to like a Gatling gun, where it's like this fuels the ammo for that, for the shoulder cannon. And then right here, they actually have a little storage pack of ammo, which is really cool that they built that into that. And you can see there's 4 studs in it. So in total, the mech is supposed to have 7 studs on hand. And then obviously you've got like, I think maybe 2 or 3 extras of the studs, but I didn't, I think it's just, no, it might be 1 extra, but obviously I used it in that spot that I did on the side of the arm, but you have a lot of studs here. So it's nice. Like you say, you could even see in the waistline area, it's more built up. Everything is just more built up on it. So now we're just gonna kind of compare them side by side. The leg here, it's different, but it's still a little bit more built up because you got the front piece here built up and the little side padding, where this one just has a little something on the side. Let me do it like this because that wire is going to keep running into him. He's got the little, you know, front piece there on his leg, but he's got the whole big, larger piece there. And it's got that little ingot piece on the front there too. So the legs are more beefy. If you take both of their, well, we'll say this arm right here, both of them have the shoulder pad done slightly differently, but they're relatively almost similar. But then the hand piece on this one is less bulkied up because this one has the firearm on it, the gun, extra gun. Let me clip that down. It's not pressed down all the way. And so it has that. And so it's not that much of a difference, but you can still see that it is a difference a little bit. And then the shoulder area, even though relatively they look the same, for the most part, there's still more going on here, because if you look here in this centerpiece right here, let me use Ultron's blast as a pointer. You could see right here that it's thicker because there's extra plating in between it, which makes it larger. And then on Iron Man's one, it's the same coming over from this side and then this side, but without an extra piece in the center to make it even thicker. So small little details like that. It may not seem like a lot, but once you start kind of comparing all these little things that start building up, you start seeing the extra heft in the War Machine one. And then when we come on the back here, they are relatively the same, but this one's more smoother and this one just seemed more built out. Even in the waist area, there's a lot more construction going on here. You can't see it as well. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. But right over here, there's more construction in that area than Iron Man has in this area right here. So like I said, all these little things start adding up to just make it look a lot more beefy, a lot more solid. And that's essentially the difference between the two. So it's not crazy, but there is a difference. Also, I just noticed something too. His fingers are a little more spread out because this one uses a full, let me fold his hands downwards, a full just kind of crossbar. So it makes his fingers a little more tightly compressed. And then this one uses the crossbar that has the little spacers in between. So it makes his hands look a little more bigger. So I prefer it like that on the War Machine. So that's a quick comparison between the two mechs. Like I said, at a glance, they look very different. But when you look at them in detail, you realize that that major difference comes from small things adding up. Because when you look from leg to leg, arm to arm, you see they're essentially the same thing. But it's those little things that beef it up that make it like you start noticing all together that it looks different, that it looks, you know, better when you add the full picture up. Like, for example, looking at the waist here from the front, this piece, you have that kind of cheese slope piece here, and it comes more outwards than this piece, which is flat with the ingot piece. But keep in mind too, you can always, if you want, buy this set and then beef it up with extra parts you might have, throw some extra studs on it, change some things up, and you could make it as beefy as you want as well. You may not have extra stud shooters laying around, but if you did, you could choose to do that. You could take these stud shooters, you could take extra stud shooters and put them on top and all over the place. You could put a set over here too. Or you could take these stud shooters off, put something else there for the hand, maybe even like a sharper object, make it like he's got a blade arm and whatever the case is, and then put the stud shooters on the top. You could always do that, customize it on the top here, and then just put something else there, maybe a battering ram type of thing or something like that. So you can play around with a few things to beef it up a little bit if you want. But that's pretty much the layout of it. Now, the part where I was going to say where these sets complement each other really well, and sorry this video got a little bit long, but one thing that I think, like I said, will complement both of these things really well is the fact that a lot of these pieces could go hand in hand with each other and they kind of work out. So for example, this hand piece here, if you wanted to, you could take those pieces off. Obviously you want your Ultron to have thrust on him as well, but being that War Machine uses red as his complementary color as well, you could put the thrust on him, and then you could put those pieces here. I'll just do it on Ultron because it's easier since I already got those pieces in his hand. And I'll take that off there. Now, what I'm doing with Ultron, you could essentially do the exact same thing with, let's hope this doesn't fly off someplace crazy. You could do the same thing that I'm about to do now with Ultron with War Machine as well. But it just gives you a show of why I say these sets can complement each other pretty well. These little pieces here, like I said, that they hold in their arm to simulate blasters, with all the extra ones that War Machine has for the red ones. He's got them all inside the back of his pack. Now, yes, they're used for a purpose, but you don't need to have all four of them inside that pack area. Now you got him flying thrusters in the hand and in the feet, which look really cool. You can do the same setup on War Machine if you want, because he's using red as well. So that's cool in itself. So yeah, like little things like that you could kind of, you know, play around with if you wanted to. You could take one of War Machine's hand cannons, because maybe you want, okay, he's got one on the hand here. Maybe you didn't want that cannon on there because he already has one cannon here and one on this thing. You could take one of these cannons and put it on Iron Man, give it a blue stud, and it will kind of somewhat fit. But they really do, like I said, like they really do complement each other in that way for you to kind of mix and match some of these pieces together. So I think that that is pretty cool right there. So either way, whichever one you choose, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I personally prefer the War Machine one, but I can see why the Iron Man one is really good too, because you get that Ultron minifigure, which I think is really awesome. But I won't say one is better than the other. You just pick the poison that works for you. So this is just a kind of neutral comparison for you guys to choose which one that you guys like better. And as always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.